It's All Things MMA on KCLR and Scoreline.ie. My name is Ken McGuire, joined as always on screen and in your ears by Miles Price, head coach of Team Rhino Kilkenny. With gyms now reopen and enrollments and things starting to happen, I would imagine. How are you and how's things looking for TRK?
Yeah, everything's looking good for TRK, Ken. A lot of students enrolling there now at the moment. So, yeah, it's actually really busy. There's a lot of people that are looking to get put on the list just for to get their name into the membership hat before everything reopens. Because, as you know, we have a small enough facility. So it's just one of those things that it's just about kind of getting everything arranged, but super exciting. It's really exciting.
Class. Can't wait to see the doors reopen in a big way. What we're talking about this afternoon, Miles, and for the podcast for this week is UFC 263, the next of the big marquee events for the UFC. They're heading to Arizona. I think it's Glendale in Arizona. We've got two titles on the line. The flyweight title and the middleweight title are up for grabs. But we've just been kind of looking over the card. And there's a couple of tasty fights that are in there. We might start with some of the ones that are a little on the kind of the bottom upside from the main card. But one that you had touched on, we're going to see Belal Muhammad back in action. Now, he fought Leon Edwards last time out, who's also on this card. It was a fairly serious eye poke that stopped that fight. In the second round, ruled it as a no contest. Yeah. He doesn't get his rematch or a chance to run it back, as people might say, but instead he's going to face Damian Maia. Should make for a fairly interesting matchup. I like Damian Maia. It's a Damian Maia with a heart side of things, but I'd be curious to see what you make of this one or how you think it might go.
I personally feel like Damian Maia is going to take this. I'll be completely honest as well. I haven't seen enough of Belal Muhammad. I think you'd probably have a better input on this than I'd have if you've seen more of him. It's just I'm a Damian Maia fan, and I just think that Damian Maia just seems to win these types of fights where he's probably the underdog, I'd say, going into this. But I think he thrives in situations like that, and I'm just a fan of Damian Maia too. So I think he's a great fighter. And how old is he now? He's 40. He has to be 43.
Damian, you're bang on 43. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for him to be performing at his age, and he's just kind of one of those ageist fighters, isn't he? He just does so well, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't think a win or a loss either way for Maia, given the longevity of his career, is going to have too much of an impact. If he was still competing at 43 or 44 or 45, he seems to have looked after himself fairly well. We haven't seen him. We haven't seen Maia in probably over a year. Gilbert Burns was the last time. Out. Now I don't know whether he was not. He was finished in the first round anyway. Didn't go to plan, but he picked up a nice win over Ben Askren before that.
He did.
After he kind of picked himself up. He gone on a bit of a skid, maybe kind of 3 or 4 years back. Belal Muhammad mentioned the Leon Edwards fight, and the Leon Edwards fight was a quick turnaround from March of this year, because he'd only fought in February against Diego Lima and picked up the decision win there, and he's had 4 or 5 wins in a row, we'll say, up to the Leon Edwards fight. But I would imagine it's going to be Damian Maia's night. I just kind of like maybe it's just rooting for the veteran or rooting.
Yeah. That's how I feel on it.
Yeah. Leon Edwards though has an interesting one. So Leon's been quote unquote in camp for nearly 2 years. 2020 was entirely written off. Hasn't fought since bar the Muhammad fight earlier this year. Hasn't really had a chance to test himself since 2019. He had a fight against Tyron Woodley, scrapped last year. He had 2 bouts against Hamza Chimaev, scrapped between COVID, I think, with Leon Edwards, and then COVID with Hamzat, and a couple of illnesses and injuries and pullouts and other things. We know how the Muhammad fight went, but he's getting Nate Diaz. We haven't seen Diaz in about 18 months. Before that, we hadn't seen Diaz in about 3 years. Kind of drops in, makes a load of noise, makes a load of money, plays the gangster card. You're not really sure how it's going to go. Last time out, we saw him in that kind of one-off Mickey Mouse BMF title fight, non-title fight against Jorge Masvidal, and things went against Diaz. In that case, it was the doctor's stoppage. He tends to bleed a lot. He's got a lot of scar tissue and tends to get opened up quite easily. Elder statesman, perhaps, against the young gun and the new breed and the new generation. What do you make of it?
I think even if Diaz was younger, I think he'd still get beat by Leon Edwards. I just think that he's just a terrible matchup for, like, as much as I'm a fan of Nate Diaz too.
Yeah.
Like, I think Nate's great to watch. I love his personality. I love the way he goes about things. I just feel like that Leon Edwards is just a bad matchup for him. He's a massive welterweight. He's sharp. He's just dealt with big, strong guys and just destroyed them, and Diaz isn't he's just not a big welterweight, I'm not sure why he's even taken a fight at welterweight, to be honest with you. I think it's just not a good move to fight at welterweight, he's just a small guy for that weight division. I'd be surprised. I'm very surprised if he won this. Very surprised. I just don't see, unless it's a 5-round fight, and even at that, I still don't see him winning. Diaz gets better as the rounds go on, but I mean, against somebody of Leon Edwards' pedigree and the style of fighter that he is, as I said, even if they were both in there, if Diaz was younger and in his prime, I don't think age comes into it personally. I just think that it's just he's just a bad matchup for him, especially with the elbows, and he has very sharp striking, Leon. So he's going to. I think he's probably gonna be the same type of stoppage as the Masvidal fight. I say it could be by cuts, because he's pretty good at those elbows, especially his back elbow. So his rear elbow is really nasty. So I think he could get stopped by cuts again, to be honest.
Well, it's a long time since we were watching him on the very early Bama card. Since he's joined the UFC, he's gone 10-2. He picked up the wins over RDA, good wins over Gunnar Nelson, over Cowboy Cerrone as well in the last couple of years. They're physically good matchups. There's former champions and contenders in there as well. Where do you think, beyond elbows, where do you think Nate Diaz may fall down in this?
I don't think Nate Diaz falls down anywhere, because I feel like he's just a crowd favorite. I think that Diaz can lose again and still kind of come back and fight a trilogy fight against McGregor. That's always something that can happen, can't it? And it's a fan favorite fight, and I don't think it loses any sting at all, really. So I think Nate has kind of made it in the sense that, with the position that Nate is at, is a better position than most champions in the UFC would ever be.
Sure.
Kamaru Usman he'd say he loses his title. Will he ever have the drawing power that Nate Diaz would ever have in any of Nate Diaz's fights? No, he never will, because he's just not that type of fighter, He hasn't got that personality. He hasn't got that type of fighting style. Whereas in Nate, he's a lot like McGregor in a lot of ways, you know what I mean? He doesn't really need to be champion. He's won just in the whole organization. He's always going to be that fan favorite, So I think that even though the chances of him winning this fight is very slim, I still feel like that he's still going to be a fan favorite and be up on the cards no matter what fight he comes into, really,
Yeah, I think you're bang on the money there. I had mentioned in a preview earlier in the week that even if Nate Diaz disappeared after this fight and didn't come back for another 18 months or 2 years or 3 years, the next time he's out, we'd still be lining up to see him. Regardless of what happens, whether he gets beat.
Just while we're on this topic as well, is I feel like his brother Nick is exactly the same. I heard there was rumors of him coming back. Am I right in saying that? Or
as far as I know, there's been talks. In terms of anything that might have been confirmed, I don't think that's totally official yet. But I again, like
That would be
like
great.
if we see Nick Diaz's name on it, we know that Nate Diaz is going to be in his corner. We know that we're in for a hell of a fight, whatever happens.
Yeah.
Let's see if we've got anything here. We've got it's been a while. It's been 6 years since he fought. No contest over Anderson Silva. That's going right back. That was the last time he was out in the UFC. But yeah, it'd be nice to see. It'd be nice to see Nick back. I'd love to see Nick and Nate on the same card.
Oh, brilliant!
Then you're in for a serious night of action. Do you pay much attention to what's happening in the flyweight division?
Not too much, no, to be honest with you. But I do. I did watch that title fight last with Moreno in Figueiredo.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like that's like that was like one of the best fights I think I've ever seen. To be honest, I thought that was absolutely cracking fight. It was a barn burner altogether,
Well, that was the last time they fought, and Saturday night they're going to have a chance to do it all over again. It's the immediate rematch. Last time out, it was ruled a majority draw. There was literally no separating them, no matter what way you tried to spin it on the judges' scorecards. Do you think it's going to go any different this time? Are we in for a similar kind of fight of the night style performance?
It's usually kind of quite rare, isn't it? Like, if you get like two like barn burners like that those kind of fights are kind of like once in a full moon kind of thing. Like, that happens. Although they are happening a lot more regularly than before. I feel, you know what I mean. These matchups are definitely a lot better, well better put together. But I mean, I'd say probably one of them is going to figure each other out in this fight. That usually happens, when you get a feel for somebody in one fight. And then going into the next fight, there's kind of like a different approach from either or. And it kind of comes down to whose approach is better coming into this fight, So I feel like that one of them's going to come out. I'd like to see Moreno do it. Like, I like Moreno. Like his character. I like his character. He's a nice guy. But, nice guys don't always win fights, obviously. So,
True.
It's hard to know. Like, who have you got your money on there, Ken?
I would probably be lying in the Moreno camp. For, kind of little things that you might pick up on from the last fight. I know we only get a real kind when you're watching the behind the scenes stuff and the run into actual fight night, you only get a little bit of a flavor that's there. But he seems a guy that's very focused on the now and but with an idea of where his future is going. He'd made that move to get out of Tijuana, to move to the States. He's become part of the UFC's Spanish coverage team. He's doing all of his training out of the Performance Institute. He's very much invested in where he's at. Skill set wise, I mean, it could be kind of 50-50, and it was 50-50 the last time out. There was no separation, but if I was to edge it, I'd probably edge on Moreno's side. I think we'll see a new champion on Saturday night. At least in this fight. When it comes to the main event, we've got Israel Adesanya back to defend his middleweight title against Marvin Vettori, who's looking to be the UFC's first Italian champion. When these guys met the last time out, and that was probably 3-4 years ago. Well, they're obviously 3 or 4 years younger. There was no titles involved. I think Izzy got the split decision on the night. Vettori had pushed him, but Adesanya's performance level has just gone up and up and up and up and up and up, and his confidence has grown to galactic levels. Of stuff that we've seen. He went up last time out for the light heavyweight matchup against Jan Blachowicz. Didn't work out in his favor, but he was there to go, well, what have I got to lose? The next step to greatness is to go and do this. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. I'll go back and I'll do it again. He's been untouchable at middleweight for some time. Vettori has worked his way up. He's now the third ranked middleweight contender. Does he stand?
Who's two then?
Who's number two? I presume Robert Whittaker and Paulo Costa should probably be up around that neck of the woods. Izzy was 28 the last time they fought, so he must be over 30 now anyway. It's 30, 31, 32. 7 straight wins for Adesanya since. Saw off Paulo Costa, Robert Whittaker, Yoel Romero, Kelvin Gastelum, Derek Brunson, Brad Tavares. Vettori saw off Kevin Holland. I think that might have been earlier this year, March or April.
Yeah, remember that fight, yeah.
Yeah, so, and it was good. It was a good scrap too, as well. Are we going to see anything? Are we going to see anything different? Like when we saw the last middleweight fight we saw from Adesanya, he completely dismantled Paulo Costa, and he looked good against Blachowicz. Like he lasted, the fight went the distance, lost the decision ultimately. But should we expect anything different from this?
I don't think so. I think that Adesanya will probably have his number, I'd say. I feel like that Vettori is probably going to give him a harder fight, but I think it's going to be like, I don't think Vettori, like he's going on that he feels like he won that last fight. I don't think he did.
Yeah.
I think that he got one takedown and he didn't do too much with it. Now the K takedowns do count, like he still got the takedown, you know what I mean? And it definitely may have won him the round, but I mean, Izzy definitely won the first 1-2 rounds, I like watching Izzy fight as well. I think he's a good fighter. Not too fond of his personality, I'm not too fond of either of their personalities really, but he is an exciting champion, and he is kind of one of those guys that, in fairness, he's beaten the who's who really, isn't he? Of the middleweights, I mean, it's so hard to see him losing really, but I have seen stranger things, so I think that it's going to be a 5-round fight.
Okay.
And I think that it'll probably be Izzy that'll come out the other end of it. Who have you got yourself?
I would have said Adesanya and maybe out and done by the second round.
All right.
I'm not quite sure what it is about Vettori, but I think the occasion itself might carry an awful lot of weight.
Oh, do you think so?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm reading way too much into little comments and little things that you see in photos and videos and stuff.
You think he's too? Would you feel like he's maybe too emotionally invested?
Emotionally, maybe. There's definitely that point to prove. Like you were saying, he thought he won the last side of things, and while he has put a good run of form together and had, I suppose, kind of maybe 3 or 4 good fights since. I just think Adesanya's on another level. IQ wise, attitude wise is going to, his attitude is and that kind of he walks that fine line between humility and brashness that not too many people do, but I think that's certainly going to help carry him over the line on Saturday. Whether he gets the finish or, like you're saying, whether it goes all 5 rounds, I don't think we're going to see anything change at the top of the middleweight side of things.
No, I don't see many people doing anything with Adesanya either. And he's at that weird place as well where he's just a little bit too. Now he didn't really put on any size for Jan, and I think he tried to make a real point of that, didn't he? What I mean? And, I think I got that one right in regards to the prediction there that Jan was just going to kind of muscle him out for 5 rounds, and I think he made the mistake of not putting on more muscle because it does make a difference, you know what I mean? So maybe when he cleans out a couple of more middleweights, which he pretty much has the whole division really at this stage, anyone that's significant. Where else is there for him to go other than to go up to light heavyweight again and give it another shot?
And give it another shot, or go in and just kind of enter the mix kind of full time and free things up a little bit. But no, I don't think anybody's going to put pressure on him, and I don't know if there's anybody that's knocking around the light heavyweight side of things that might look at dropping down and seeing what the lay of the land is. Luke Rockhold, if he got himself back in action, that might be a nice middleweight matchup.
That would be an interesting fight. Yeah, I think I like Luke Rockhold as well. He's actually a really nice guy as well. But he's it's hard to know. I know he got his jaw broken twice, and I know that he's not been around in a while. But I mean, that time off, he seems to be doing a lot of training there at the moment and enjoying his training again. So, I mean, stranger things have happened again, you know, where guys have left for a while and they've come back and they seem to be in a better place and performing better, and they seem to have just developed their chin out of nowhere again. So, you know, could be good.
Could be good. We'll see what happens. Other fights of note on the card, women's flyweight side of things, Jojo Calderwood and Lauren Murphy looks like it's set to make a kind of a number one contender. Whoever comes out of that will probably get a title shot next time out. Drew Dober and Brad Riddle. I was looking at
that one. That's a good one.
That's going to be a good scrap at lightweight as well. There's a couple of more lightweight fights. Matt Frivola and Terence McKinney are in there, and we've got a heavyweight to open the early prelims. Carlos Felipe and Jake Collier.
Yeah, I thought Brad Riddle had more fights than that. Like, you know, he's only 9-1, and Drew Dober actually has a lot of fights, 23. Yeah. But
you know, if he could be looking for that win number 10. Be nice to hit double figures in it. Get into Arizona, get that desert heat, get it in front of a packed crowd again. And this is the thing, we're back to having crowds at fights and having crowds influence things in a way as well. For people to watch UFC 263, the coverage starts on UFC Fight Pass about 11 o'clock Saturday night, continues on Fight Pass, and in Ireland it's BT Sport 1 from 1 in the morning, and the main card is underway at 3 o'clock. Miles, if people want to, haven't mentioned the enrollment side of things at TRK at the very outset, if people want to look at, hopefully get their name on a list for some of the MMA, BJJ fundamental side of things that are going to be coming up, how can they do
it? Best way, and the only way really to get your name on the list, is to DM our Facebook or Instagram page, or just email teamrhinokilkenny@gmail.com.
Super stuff. Miles Price, Team Rhino Kilkenny. This has been All Things MMA. Thanks for the company, and we'll do it all again next week.